Ciao Juventini of the world, my name is Giuseppe, welcome back on the channel. I promised you that I would bring someone that was not a Juventino on the channel, someone that is supporting Chelsea for a simple reason. Yesterday, Gazzetta dello Sport, they introduced us the possibility to have some names linked from Chelsea to here. The reaction under the comments were not that great. So instead of having Juventini speaking about other players, I really wanted to go to the core. And that's why I have the honor to have a great friend of me, Matisse, on the channel. Welcome, Matisse. How are you doing, buddy?
Pleasure, bro. Pleasure. We've done a couple of collabs and they've always been brilliant. So it's good to be back. An honor to be back, and looking forward to talking about it. We've had tough seasons, both of us, so we can relate in this aspect. Mine's been worse, but you guys have had a lot of issues as well, so it's crazy.
It has been for us, but as you said, a really tough season. The difference, I believe, between Chelsea and Juve is we had to take care on the field, but also off the field problems. I don't believe you had off the field problems, or did you?
Well, we thankfully kind of got our off the field problems to the side with the ownership and all of the changes there. So that was our off the field issues maybe last year. This year it's been on the pitch mainly, but I think because of what the change that happened off the pitch with the change in medical team, the change with the managers, the staff, it is kind of off the field issues that are still hampering on the pitch as well. It's all kind of connected. So I guess you could say it is both as well for us.
You're pumped up for the new season, or you're still skeptical?
I've got a bit of a hangover from the season we just had. They've only just reset the table now, and they've only just released the new fixtures. So I'm trying to get reset into the other season coming, but it's very traumatizing what I experienced last season. It's not easy to get over. I've never seen a season like that. It's the worst season on record we've ever had. So I'm still feeling that, but yeah, until I see the window, I can't get too excited because there's a lot of work to do, and if we don't get it done, then it's not going to be a good start to the season.
Confident in the new coach, but also I believe you are not playing any European competition, right?
Yeah. No, I was a big fan of Pochettino. I was one of the people that was saying that we should be looking at him and bringing him in because of where we're at right now as a club and the profile of players that we have as well. He's the kind of manager that suits, especially with what our ownership is kind of doing, which is bringing in a lot of young players. He's got expertise with working with young players, developing them, turn them into top talent. So I'm a big fan of Pochettino. I think he's done incredible work at Tottenham, at Southampton in particular as well. His records kind of speak for themselves domestically. The kind of the win percentages he's been able to put up. And I think, listen, in terms of getting over the final hurdle and winning trophies, that is something that he does have to come back here in England and improve. But we as a club as well have lost our last Wembley finals. So we also need to prove that we can get over the line as well. So it's kind of two different entities coming together to try and prove that they can actually win things domestically again.
For the people that are curious, who is Matisse and who is Ma, and if you are also interested a bit in a crazy transfer window, but also in a really great club that is Chelsea, go on his YouTube channel. You will have all the links into the description. I tell you, I love it. What is the next video that you will do, Matisse, so that people are attracted by your channel?
Every day there's something new. We just had a stream there a couple of hours ago, which was kind of like a Chelsea kind of round table of content creators. I do it every single week called All You Can Eat Chelsea, and that's where we go through all of the games usually every week, but now all the transfers that we're linked with. But I'll be doing daily streams, daily videos. So yeah, one of each minimum every day, pre-recorded and live content. So yeah, there's so much rumors. I have to be every day. I can't do anything else.
True. I recommend the channel anyway. The last time that we saw each other, we were speaking about the player at the end. Well, we spoke about a lot of players. But then at the end, I told you we have potentially a player for you, Adrien Rabiot. We wanted to get rid of him. You didn't really want him. Are you regretting that you didn't sign Rabiot?
No, I'm not regretting it purely because in that kind of left central midfield position, we've now gone and got Enzo, and I'm really happy with Enzo from Benfica. I think long term there's a lot more obviously value to him in terms of his ceiling is a lot higher, winning the World Cup and just his eye for a pass and what he can bring creativity wise is what I've been looking for. So no, there's no regrets, but I definitely looked at the World Cup, some of the performances that he put in, and I was impressed with Rabiot. He did put in some big performances in there alongside Griezmann in that midfield three and Tchouameni. So it was very impressive from him. Are you guys looking to keep him, or are you still trying to get rid?
Juventus, because he was MVP of the season without any doubt, and Juventus would love to extend him one more year. Is it something that you're really looking forward to have 1 year for a player? We don't know. He needs to give an answer. We'll see. You know why I really wanted to invite you on the channel? Because one day I popped up in one of your streams and you were speaking about Mudryk. And you said, if I'm not wrong, that you were not 100% convinced about that signing before it happened.
Yeah.
And I was really impressed because it was a big rumor. There was a lot of excitement during the winter. And you said, no, I don't want my club to spend all the money on unnecessary signings.
Yeah.
My question, because there is the name of Dusan Vlahovic that is linked a bit to your club. I want an honest question from you. Is it a name that you are interested in, and can he benefit your Chelsea 23-24 team?
I'm at a tough situation with strikers because we've been burnt before with signing strikers for big money, and I know Juventus should be looking for a big fee for Vlahovic. He's your main striker, talisman, and when he's fit, he can be very prolific. He's a very good finisher. So for me personally, I think now you obviously watch him week in, week out, so correct me if I'm wrong, but my reservations on Vlahovic would be maybe his all-round game, what he would be contributing outside of the box, which is something that we struggled with Lukaku a lot. With a possession-based team, our pitch can be quite tight. We need it. For me, I need a striker that is going to drop deep, that can take players on, just as many attributes as possible. So if they don't score or we don't create for them specifically, they contribute to another part of the game and they do something else for us. That's the kind of mold that I've gone down with. Last summer, I wanted Gabriel Jesus instead of Aubameyang, precisely because, listen, Jesus, in terms of finishing, he's not as good a finisher as Vlahovic or as good a finisher as some of these other strikers, but he was able to rack up assists and chance creation and create for others, and overall the whole team benefited and they overall scored more goals. And I think sometimes a prime example is Ronaldo at Man United. When a team constantly is just built to kind of feed one person, yes, that person may benefit and get goals, but the overall team may suffer with chance creation and just with a lack of goals elsewhere. So for me personally with Vlahovic, I'm not too sure because he is still young. I think he can still be probably developed and improved. And if you look at Pochettino with Harry Kane and Ricky Lambert when they're Southampton and Tottenham, they weren't, Harry Kane wasn't this all-rounder that could switch play, drop deep, take ball past players, shoot from distance, all of these different attributes. He didn't start like that. He had to be coached, and so maybe Vlahovic could be coached into becoming a player like that. But I would love us to be a little bit smarter and maybe look for a more, a player that's maybe more under the radar and doesn't cost as much, because the striker position at Chelsea is a problem right now.
It is. Look, you said really interesting things about Dusan Vlahovic. We saw him for 18 months. Guy with a lot of potential, really lethal in front of the goal. He's young, maybe not yet. He was ready to be in a top club that was also in difficulty. And on that one, we can align a bit. Clubs in difficulties. It was maybe a bit too much, but don't forget that he was also suffering growing pain. But it's a really guy with a lot of potential that I would love to keep because I really believe in him. But then if Juventus, in a difficult situation, is obliged to sacrifice a big name, well, Dusan Vlahovic would be. Dusan Vlahovic interested from Bayern Munich, I believe also the favorite one.
Yeah.
But also there were some talks of one of our sportive directors being in UK, being in London, speaking with maybe Chelsea to make sure that the name is circulating a bit and making that bid going higher. I believe that's a bit behind. But anyway, he came back from London with some names, possible names, that could be linked to Juve for different reasons. 2-1 that are Ruben Loftus-Cheek and then Trevoh Chalobah. Two players that, to be honest, I checked a bit about their career. Two youth projects from Chelsea. My big question before going in stats and whatever about these two players specifically, my big question, why didn't they reach peak at Chelsea? Because one is 27 and he's there since 14-15, I believe, first appearance with first team, and the second one, first appearance was a bit later, but still two players that made it from the youth to the first team.
Yeah, but Loftus-Cheek, unfortunately, he started off a couple of loans here and there, going to Crystal Palace, and then broke in, really had a good breakthrough under Maurizio Sarri. Obviously, you'll know very well, your former manager as well. And he had a great, I'd say, second half of the season with Eden Hazard. Hudson-Odoi broke through in that time. It was the start of, Jorginho and that type of, Sarri ball, as they call it. And Loftus-Cheek was brilliant in this kind of left central midfield of a 3 kind of position, left side of midfield 3, contributing with goals, brilliant ball carrier, great, dribbler in many ways, and very powerful as well. Kind of built in a way like Paul Pogba, but doesn't have the passing range, I would say, or the vision, or the weight of pass, more of a carrier. That uses his physical attributes to get past players and to, take him into advanced areas, and then he might pop up with a goal here or there. But it's mainly about the physical attributes, the ball carrying and being able to shield the ball very well. So he's a very good player. The issue is he got an injury in a game in a pretty meaningless friendly out in America. I think it was for charity, and then what ended up happening was after that he never recovered, and he's lost that burst. He's tried to kind of move into more of this kind of restricted defensive midfielder kind of role, where he's become a utility player. Sometimes he plays right wing back, sometimes he plays as a part of a double pivot in a midfield, more defensive. But it's not the same player that we had coming through when he was younger. And he did suffer with back problems because his growth spurt was ridiculous as well. But I do believe, because I think he was linked with also AC Milan before Maldini was sacked. Yeah. And Maldini was sacked, and that kind of stopped the negotiations. And then suddenly now there's no movement on that. And he's kind of just in the middle of nowhere, not knowing where he's going next. I do think he would do quite well in Serie A. Purely, obviously, the Premier League is obviously faster league, but Serie A the tempo drops a bit. You see a lot of older players that technically have their game figured out, Edin Dzeko, etc., still doing pretty well. I still think he would be a good signing for an Italian team, to be honest. And he needs a fresh start because he's been at Chelsea for a long time. There's no space for him in the team now to get minutes. So he's of that point now where he does need to make a move.
Because that was my second question when I was analyzing a bit and checking. Of course, I didn't follow all the games of Loftus-Cheek, but he's playing everywhere. As you mentioned already, he's playing in literally every single position. If you could give him, as a coach, a lineup, 3-5-2, 4-3-3, or whatever, and you give him a specific position, according to you, what would he be his best?
For me, his best position would be midfield 3. And I think left or right side. I don't think it matters too much. Depends on your wingers and who you want him to combine with, and maybe if you're, if you attack more down the left hand side or you attack more down the right hand side, then that would depend on where you put him. But for me, he has become more defensively aware. But just you would never put him as a sitter or as a defensive midfielder. You would have to give him that license to carry the ball forward. But I think in a midfield 3, I'd love to see him back in that type of formation, I think.
Now I give you the difficult question. Give me one reason why I should not sign him.
I think for me, the one reason why I would stay clear is you just with him. Is he completely over his injury issues? I would be hesitant, because the one thing with Chelsea is that he's never had to play, and you can check through his stats. You will not see a season of 30 games. You won't find it. This guy is basically a utility player that will come in, he might start 10 games, maybe 12, lots of off the bench appearances. Whether or not he has the capacity to play 30 plus is something that I've just never seen. You might have to go all the way back to maybe Crystal Palace loan to where he may have played a lot of maybe 30 games. This is a guy that hasn't played more than 30 games for a long time.
I believe his best season was 18-19 with you guys.
Yeah.
In all competition, he also scored 10 goals. Then he never scored anymore. But that was a season where he did a lot. But indeed, as you said, it was not a consistent starter. He played a lot of apps, but never from the start, or rarely.
Yeah. So that was Maurizio Sarri's season. That was a brilliant like kind of introduction for him to Chelsea. After doing really well in the youth teams, going out on loan a little bit, but you just can't guarantee the amount of games. I think as a clear starter, I haven't seen him be able to do the 30 games yet because he's never really had the opportunity. So that's a risk, I'd say.
If we switch to another name that was linked is Chalobah, also a huge product. Also him. He played, I believe, 47% of starting 11 this season with you, 25 apps. Center back, it's a total different position. If we do the same exercise in top, and then I will ask you the magic question, of course, why not?
I think with Trevor, he's a little bit underrated in some ways. I think he can be caught out 1v1. He has had some moments against the top wingers where you could see that, you know, he isolated can be prone to making a mistake or two. But he's very, very astute on the ball. He's got no problem progressing the ball, whether it's a pass, switching play, or really more so even carrying it as well. If there's space to carry it, no problem doing that. And I think he's got a lot of potential. I think he's obviously, we've seen Tomori go over and kind of the revelation that he had. I don't think he's shown at Chelsea that Tomori level yet. But I think under the right manager, especially Italian coaches or the Italian league, where defending is treated as an art form, and you really start to play against and play with some top defenders, I think that could be potentially the catalyst to unlock him and put him on another level that we haven't really seen yet. And again, at Chelsea, he's not really a starter. He doesn't really have the responsibility. But when he does come in, most of the time, he does a good job. He has had a couple of games where, you know, maybe due to age or in a lack of experience, where he has. We forget this player, his first Premier League season was last year. So he's pretty fairly new to the scene. He doesn't feel like he is because of his age, but he hasn't been playing a lot at this level. Prior, it was a loan in Ligue 1 for Lorient, where he played left side centre back in a 3. He's played DM. He plays right side centre back in a 3. So he has played centre back in a 3. So he's even played right back this season. So he is very versatile. So if you do need a player that can be molded and you don't really know what position yet you definitely want to play him in, but you can teach him. He's got experience playing all across the back line and DM. So if you're weak in maybe multiple areas, he's someone that can cover quite a lot of positions.
Which one would you be the most sad about to see leaving your club? The first one or the second one?
I would say Trevor. Yeah. Because I think Trevor for us is kind of like he's like a guarantee off that bench, where, you know, okay, if we've got an injury in multiple positions, he can come in and do a job as a substitute, you know, 20-30 minutes, no problem, put him in. You can put him in and do a job. I think Loftus-Cheek, he's had so long now at the club, and he's had, you know, so many different, you know, opportunities, but also issues as well, which is not really always down to his fault. That is the right time for him to go now. And if he doesn't go, I'd kind of be confused for him, because I'd be like, listen, you're 27 now, coming up to 28. You need to get first team football. You need to show you can play 30 games, you know, a season plus. Chalobah's still quite young, and like I said, he can cover all those positions quite well. And I think he's good. He's good squad depth for us.
And then we hear, and that's the last one. Always, every summer, we hear the name of Pulisic, Christian, linked to Juve. I don't know what is right, what is wrong. I know that he had a big injury. He's also a bit injury prone if you're looking at his stats. He didn't play a lot with you. Is he an interesting player that you believe that can still break through in a club like Juventus as a left wing back? Is there, or left winger, sorry, or what can you tell me more about Christian?
Pulisic is another one where he needs to stay consistently fit, because he does have talent and he does show it for America when he's called upon. He's got a lot of leadership qualities in that team, a lot of importance. And we see it when they're trying to qualify for major tournaments, or now they're going to be hosting. He is going to be a big part of that, along with, you know, Reina and all these other players. But if he can't stay consistently fit, then he will never find consistency in his performance. And that is a problem for him. And I think at a club like Chelsea, where there's just so many options, you get injured and then, you know, someone else takes your spot. And by the time you're coming back, you're fighting an uphill battle. He's a very good dribbler. He's very good at that. One thing that I've always wanted him to improve is his vision and his awareness. And I think even his crossing ability could go to another level as well. Sometimes I see him do it for the US, but then I question maybe the standard or the level that he's playing against in some of these qualifiers in comparison to the Premier League, where I'm not really getting that as a winger. I'm not getting a crossing ability that I'm looking for. He did show glimpses of goal scoring as well under Lampard, but this is very like small sample size after lockdown. where he was putting the goal and he was putting the ball in the back of the net. He was taking responsibility and he was a talisman. So there's definitely ability there for why he had hype when he was a lot younger. But again, injury concerns. So I think going to a Serie A again is a good move for him. I think for Loftus-Cheek and Pulisic is quite similar, where they need to prove they can play 30 games plus. They need to stay fit and they need to take more responsibility in a team and be leaders. And I think they're both capable of doing that because they've done it for the national team in Pulisic, and Loftus-Cheek is kind of like our leader of our academy. Like he kind of like holds the torch for the academy. He's the one that a lot of people look up to, and he had a lot of responsibility in the youth leagues for leadership and captaincy. So it's something that they're both capable of. I don't want to say untapped potential because they're too old to be talking about potential. They just need to deliver. They just need to deliver. And I think they need trust to be in a lineup and know that you are a starter next season. And that is what we expect from you. And then they have to deliver. So they are risks, but the reward is definitely there, 100%.
I finish with the last question and then I say goodbye to you. You told me, Vlahovic, you had some doubts. If there is one player that you could bring from Juventus to Chelsea that you need, is there a player like that you have like, okay, that player is who I want, or nobody, and then it's over?
I loved Pogba, but he's just struggled so much with injuries, and this guy had all of the ability in the world, the physique, the everything. We saw it in the World Cup when he won it and what he was able to do in the final, etc. That would have been the player where, you know, he is a player that can do anything. If you unlock him, and everybody says it about unlocking him, then you can get anything: long shots, passing range, skill, dribbling, you know, anything. But, you know, it looks like he's kind of, you know, I don't know what's going on with Pogba and whether or not we're going to see the best of him again. That's probably the only player that I would have said that previously. You know, if you're getting them at their peak and what they can do, that would be the player. I'd be like, okay, cool. This is a guy that I'd go for. But at the moment, I'm trying to think. I don't think so. Who are your best centre backs at the moment? You obviously have.
We have a Gleison Bremer now.
From Torino. Signed,
yeah. Difficulties to play with 4. Prefers to play with 3.
Yeah. And I think we're moving to a 4 under Pochettino, so that wouldn't be the best fit. I would say not Pogba because of obviously the issues I mentioned. It's kind of going back to his Juventus days when he was there the first time. That's the Pogba that I would take. I think, and I haven't been watching week in, week out, but I've seen a couple of your games this season. And there was a time where Chiesa was playing right wing back, and I don't know why, because you want to see Chiesa a lot higher up the pitch. It was very frustrating, but Chiesa, I don't know how he's recovered from his injury, but before the injury, he was so explosive, so, you know, bold in his play, looked like he could get goals as well at Fiorentina and obviously national team. So Chiesa is another one, but I don't know.
I warn people that forget about seeing a top level Chiesa in 22-23 because an ACL, you need time to recover.
Exactly.
And you know, the problem with ACL is one day you will be at top form and then you disappear for 2-3. But we saw that glimpses of Federico Chiesa back at match day 38. I believe that now the stop will be good for him and having him again at top level at the start of the season. And hopefully he can play a bit higher also in the field. Then Juventus had a really complicated season where we lost a lot of confidence, where a lot of time we defended more than we attacked. And by consequences, to try to stay as a block, well, your average block was really low.
Yeah.
And that's a problem.
Yeah.
Guys, I had an immense pleasure to have Matisse. I don't want to make it too long because if we go too long, you watch it one time and it's enough. Maybe we'll try to invite Matisse again later in the season. It was a real pleasure. Don't forget to go subscribe on his channel. We support calcio and football world, whatever the colors. That would be fantastic. Thank you, Matisse, for being with me.
Pleasure, absolute pleasure. And I have to say shout out to Locatelli as well because he's a proper player as well.
And I'm happy that you are saying that because I believe that he has really beautiful years ahead. I'm sure about that. Leave him alone. Ciao, Matisse.